Galley gear that does a job well, always a good thing. But one that has more than one use? Sign me up. Hi there, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and on this episode of the Boat Galley podcast, I'll share one small but mighty, and mighty useful, item I have on board Barefoot Gal, a silicone dish mat. First, though, let's talk about today's sponsor. It's Teak Guard Products. If you're looking to refinish your boat's teak with a minimum of mess and fuss, look no further. Teak Guard's non-toxic, water-based formulas for cleaning and finish will turn your teak from dingy to sparkling in no time. I used it on the entire inside of Barefoot Gal, and 4 years later, it is still going beautifully. Use coupon code BG20 for 15% off your order of $50 or more. Teak Guard. Admire your teak with less maintenance. Okay, so let's talk about these silicone dish mats. They're a really nifty dish drying pad, and they can double as a non-slip hot pad for pans. Belinda Wolf aboard Rickshaw, who I met here in Boot Key Harbor several years ago, shared this with me. I now have actually 5 of them on Barefoot Gal, the ones in the galley, and we have one that we use under our generator to keep it from sliding across the deck as it operates. And I have one that I use on a wooden shelf for all of our electronics charging, because, some of those can heat up a little bit. This protects the surface. Here's what Belinda said when she first told me about it. As with most cruisers and boaters, I want products that serve more than one purpose. And this one does. It's the OXO drying mat and hot pad. I have 2, one on each side of my sink, a small one next to my drain rack that I use to drain glasses, and then a larger one between my sink and my cooktop. That one I use to set dirty dishes. The beauty of it is that any water that drips off the wet dishes or anything else wet that I set down, like frozen food, the water stays on the mat. Since the boats list, even those at the dock, the mat keeps the water corralled. It keeps the water from running back in the corner or under the stove rim. And when I take a hot pan off the stove, I can just put it on the mat. It's easy to clean and can be quickly dried with a towel, unlike a cloth drying mat. I can agree with her 120%. The fact that it keeps the water corralled is an amazing feature of it. And silicone is naturally non-slip, so that's good both for things that are drying and for your hot pads. It's heat resistant up to 425 degrees, and these pads clean easily. A nail brush works really, really well if any gunk gets around the ribs in them. They come in 3 sizes, and the last I knew, all of them were medium gray. You'll find the links to them in the show notes. The large one is like 12.5 by about 16.5. The smallest is 6 by 17, and then they have a small square that's 12 by 12. Not only Belinda and I, but everybody else that I have talked to absolutely loves the fact that there is a solid rim around the outside of this so that water doesn't leak out and go onto the counter of its own accord. For a lot of people, land-based homes, their reviews talk about the fact that the large mat is relatively small. Well, that may be a complaint for them, sure, but it's a very positive thing in a boat galley. So many times things that are designed for homes are actually too big for my counter. These are absolutely perfect. Again, you'll find the links for them in the show notes. I highly recommend them, and they make wonderful gifts as well. Hey, if you've enjoyed this episode of the Boat Galley podcast, if it's given you some new ideas or some thoughts on what you want, please be sure to sign up, subscribe to the podcast, and also tell your friends about us. Take care.